calculated, and minimum of that will be considered as a latest occurrence time for that particular event. If we have to repeat this procedure till we reach to the event number 1. At event number 1, we have to find the latest finish time for the project L1, that will be minimum of LSIJ, all the activities that will be emerging from the event number 1, that latest start time we have calculated, and minimum of that will be considered as the latest occurrence time. So minimum of Lj minus 1 minus Tij, that will be the latest occurrence time of the activity first, that is L1. Now, what is the float of the event and activity? The float is also called a slack, or it is the free time, is the length of time to which a non-critical activity and an event can be delayed or extended without delaying the total project completion time. So, free time in which a particular activity or event can be delayed, but the total project duration should not be delayed. That is called a float. Float will be for event, and we can also find the float for different activities. The float for event is the difference between the latest occurrence time Li and earliest occurrence time Ei. So event float is calculated as Li minus Ei. Float for an activity, it is the length of the free time of a non-critical activity. There are three types of float, activity float. One is total float, another is free float, and independent float. Now what is total float? It is the length of time by which an activity can be delayed if all its preceding activities are completed at their earliest time, and all successor activities can be delayed until their latest permissible time. So total float is denoted by TFIJ. It is calculated using Lj minus Ei minus Tij. For an activity Ij, the latest occurrence time is the earliest occurrence time should be subtracted from the latest occurrence time, and duration is also subtracted from the resulting values. We can get the total float TFIJ. Free float, it is the time by which the completion of an activity can be delayed without causing any delay in its immediate successor activity. So predecessor activities is allowed to be delayed, but successor activity cannot be delayed. So free time, that is FFIJ, is calculated as Ej minus Ei minus Tij. Independent float is the amount of acceptable delay in the completion of an activity so that neither it affects its predecessor nor its successor. So independent float is a free time in such a way that predecessor activity should not be delayed, successor activity should not be delayed. That is called a independent float. Independent float is denoted by IFIJ. It is calculated as Ej minus Li minus Tij. Now, after completing the forward pass method and backward pass method, our objective is to determine the critical path, which gives the total minimum project completion time. If delay in the execution of activity further delay the project completion time, then it is called a critical activity. So critical activity have total float is 0. The non-critical activity have the float, have a positive float. So it have a free time, but critical activity have no free time. Because if delay occurred in a critical activity, it also delay the total minimum project completion time. Critical path is the sequence of critical activities that form the continuous path between the start of the project and completion of the project. The length of the critical path is the sum of the individual durations of the activities on a critical path, that is the total, that will give total minimum project completion time. Now, how to determine the particular activity Ij is a critical or not? An activity Ij is critical if it satisfies all the following three rules. First, Ei should be Li. means earliest occurrence time of and latest occurrence time at event I should be equal. Ej is equal to Lj. Earliest occurrence time and latest occurrence time of event j should be equal, and difference of earliest occurrence time and difference of latest occurrence time Ej minus Ei, Lj minus Li should be equal to duration of the activity Tij. If these three conditions are satisfied, then and then our activity Ij is called critical. If any of these condition is not satisfied, then the activity Ij is called non-critical. Let us see how to determine the critical path, how to use the critical path for the given example. Here we have given the activity A, B, C, D up to activity M, and their predecessor activities are given with the duration of the activities in days. So let us first draw the network diagram using the given precedence relationship. So here using the given precedence relationship, the network diagram is shown here. We say that the A, G and J are the activities which have no predecessor. Here the activity A, G and J. Let us say this activity A, this activity G and J, they have no predecessor. So they are the first activity of the network diagram. So here we have denoted A, G and J are the first activity of the network diagram. Similarly, A is a predecessor for B, D and K. G is a predecessor for H. J and H are predecessor for I. K and C are predecessor for L. D is a predecessor for E. E is a predecessor for F. I and L are predecessor of M. So using the given precedence relationship, we have drawn this network diagram. Now first we will use critical path method, that is forward pass method. In forward pass method, we have to start from event number 1. So earliest occurrence time of event 1 is set as 0. So E1 should be 0. Now we have to move further to event number 2. We have to move forward to event number 2. At event number 2, we have to calculate. For activity 1, 2, we have to calculate the earliest start time and earliest finish time. So ES12, earliest start time of activity 1, 2 is set as 0. And earliest finish time of the activity 1, 2 is equal to earliest start time plus duration of the activity. So 0 plus 6, that is called E2. So E2 is calculated as a E1 plus duration of the activity A. So E2 is equal to 6. Now we will move to the event number 3. So at event number 3, we have to calculate E3, that is 0 plus duration of the activity G. So here E3 will be calculated as 2. For event number 4, the earliest occurrence time of event 4 is calculated as, say, there are two activities J and H are merging at event number 4. So 0 plus duration of the activity J, that is 0 plus 13 is 13, and E3 plus duration of the activity H, that is 10, so 12. So maximum of 13 and 12, that is equal to 13. So in forward pass method, we have to take the maximum of the earliest finish time of the activities that is merging to a particular event. Then we will calculate E5. So at E5, it will start from event number 2. So E2 plus duration of the activity B, 6 plus 4, 10. So E5 should be 10. At event number 6, again it is merging activity K and C. So 6 plus K, 6 plus duration means E2 plus duration of activity K. So 6 plus 9, and E5 plus duration of the activity C, 10 plus 7. So maximum of 15 and 17. So maximum is 17. So E6 will be considered as 17. Similarly, E7, that is E2 plus duration of activity D, 6 plus 2 is 8. We will go forward to E8. E8 is equal to E7 plus duration of the activity E, 8 plus 4 is 12. Then E9, E9 will be calculated. Again, it is merging the event I and L. So E4 plus duration of the activity I, 13 plus 6 and 17 plus 3, that is maximum of 19 and 20. E9 is 20. Now we will move to event number 10. So here event number 10, again activity M and F are merging to that activity. So 20 plus 5 and 12 plus 10, so maximum of 25 and 22 is considered as 25. So here forward pass method will ends. We have started from event number 1 and we have moved forwarded till we reach to the event number 10, and at each event we have calculated the earliest occurrence time. Now we have to use backward pass method. In backward pass method, we have to start at event number 10 and we have to move backward till we reach to the event number 1, and at each event we have to calculate the latest occurrence time Li. So at event number 10, the latest occurrence time L10 will be considered as E10. Whatever the value E10, earliest occurrence time that we have obtained using a forward pass method, that will be taken as a latest occurrence time at the completion event. Then we will move backward by reducing the event number by 1. So from event number 10, we will move to event number 9. So L9 will be calculated as a 25 minus duration of the activity M, that is 5. 25 minus 5, that is 20. Again we will go to event number 8. So 25 minus 10, that is L8 is equal to 15. Now we will move backward to event number 7. So L7 will be calculated as L8 minus duration of activity E, 15 minus 4, that is 11. Similarly, we will move to event number 6. L6 should be calculated. So L9 minus duration of activity L, 20 minus 3, it is considered as a 17. Similarly, L5, 17 minus 7, that is 10. L4, so 20 minus 6, that is 14. L3, that is 14 minus 10 is 4. L2, now say the L2 event number 2 is a event that is burst event. More than one activities, 3 activities are bursting from the event number 2. So we have to calculate the L values by taking the difference of L6 minus duration of the activity K, 17 minus 9, L5 minus duration of activity B, 10 minus 4, and L7 minus duration of activity D, and minimum of that is L2 is equal to 6. The minimum value is considered as a latest occurrence time. In forward pass method we have considered a maximum value, while in backward pass method we are considering the smallest value. Again we will goes to event number 1. Event number 1 is also a burst event. So 14 minus 13, 4 L3 minus duration of activity G, 4 minus 2, and L2 minus duration of activity 6 A, that is 6 minus 6 is 0. So L1 is considered as a 0. So in this way we have to complete the backward pass method. Now to determine the critical path method, we have to use the critical activity where EI and LI values are same, EI, EJ and LJ are same, and the difference of EJ minus EI and LJ minus LI should be equal to duration of the activity. So here the activity 1 2, 2 5, 5 6, 6 9 and 9 10 is considered as the critical path, which will satisfy all the activities A, B, C, L and M are critical activities which satisfies all the 3 conditions, EI equal to LI, EJ equal to LJ, and the difference EJ minus EI, LJ minus LI is equal to TIJ. So this path, continuous path starting from event number 1 to 10, that is 1 to 5, 6, 9, 10 is our critical path, and the critical activities are A, B, C, L, M, and the total minimum project completion time is 25 days. So in this way here we have used the critical path method that will be defined as a that will determine the critical path method. Now let us see another technique, that is PERT technique, program evaluation and review technique. Generally, PERT was used to handle the project where the time duration of the each activity should not be known to us. So here, to estimate the parameter, we have to use mean and variance of beta distribution and 3 time estimates. We will go first due to time constraints. The optimistic time, pessimistic time and most likely time is given to you, and from the optimistic time and most likely time and pessimistic time, using this formula T is equal to TO plus 4TM plus TP by 6, we have to calculate the expected time of each activity and we have to calculate the variance of each activity. So in PERT technique, after calculating this expected time, we will draw the network diagram and we can find the probability for the given project. So in this way, we have to use this technique. So PERT technique is very useful to find the probabilities, where it can identify that what is the probability that the project should be completed before a scheduled time. So today, due to time constraints, we have completed up to a critical path method. In future, whenever we have time, we will go for PERT techniques in details. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sandhan, All Gujarat Integrated Classroom.
સેટેલાઇટના માધ્યમથી જોડતી કડી એટલે સંધાન.